What's good? What's good? What's good in the hood? And welcome back to another episode of the Good in the Hood podcast. I am, as always, your host, Juice. Joined this week with two special guests, man. The first guest, you guys are familiar with. He's been on the show before to promote Scenic. Since then, Scenic Deluxe has dropped with the guy Nick Arcade. Dope project. If you ever heard it yet, man, go check it out. 5 new tracks, and one of those tracks features our second guest, man. I'm also a co-host with the first guest for the Rec Shop Live show. We have Add-2 here, man. If y'all know who Add-2 is, y'all are crazy. So I ain't gonna really give too much into Add-2. Add-2, man, dope to have both y'all here. Add-2, great lyricist. I didn't give enough introduction to you, man. I've been literally following you since, man. I think I first saw you on like Ruby Hornet or Two Dope Boys back in the day. So super honored to have you on here, bro. How y'all feeling this morning?
I'm doing good, man. I'm glad to be here. It's fun, of course. Anytime when I'm with my brother Defcee, man, this is always good times for me. So this is cool, especially on a Sunday morning. I don't get a chance to do this often.
You know what I'm saying? You know. How you feeling, Def?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. Let me know if the Wi-Fi is a little shaky on my end, or if the stream is glitching out or whatever. Just because this isn't my home connection, so if I need to move somewhere else, just let me know. Apart from the shaky Wi-Fi, man, I'm doing really well.
Dope.
You know, it's been Rec Shop Live has been going really well. Music stuff has been going really well too, so can't complain.
We can start there. Let's start Rec Shop Live. Last time you were on the show, Defcee, you promoted Rec Shop Live. You hinted that you guys are going to be on, I'm saying, TV, you know, and now here we are. I'm saying you guys are on the Vans Network, you know. And I've seen I believe at least 2 episodes. One with Freddie Fawcett, and the last one when you had MF and Mello, you had Mother Nature, some dope cats on there. So let's talk about the format that you guys are aiming for with this new TV show.
Well, we were approached by Vans almost, I think, back in the fall, maybe a little bit later, to do a show. And when Ad and I sat down to figure it out and to kind of structure things, what we realized was that we had something really cool on our hands, where we had the opportunity to basically a kind of show to Chicago that the city hadn't really seen yet. So instead of us just kind of going up there doing DJ sets, we decided, you know, this would be a good opportunity to really give a platform to a lot of the MCs in the city who might not necessarily have one otherwise, you know, because I think a lot of artists from Chicago, if you don't have somebody, you know, handling your PR for you, if you don't have management, and then especially during the pandemic, if you're not really able to perform around the city, you don't necessarily.
There you go. Yeah, he lost his Wi-Fi.
Yeah, he called it.
Ours, as well as. Oh, did it glitch?
It glitched on you right there for a good second. Yeah.
All right. Hold on 1 second. Ad, why don't you go in on it?
I'll pick up. Yeah. So like, basically, you know what I'm saying? Like it was mentioned, like sometimes, man, there's not as many spaces to showcase what you're doing, especially on like the lyricist avenue. Like it feels like there's almost like a place where you plateau. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, you can come here, you can do this, you can do this. But it was like, well, what do you do after you release the project? Where else can they go to promote? Where else can they go to perform? To have it like, you know, broadcasting more of like a wide arena. And so we said, like, let's just focus on the music and the independent scene that we love. So, you know what I'm saying? The music that usually is like so life changing to so many other, you know what I'm saying, cities. When people go out, it's like, yo, when, you know, people like Saab, when people like Chance, when people like Vic, when people like John Doe, you know what I'm saying? Like when people spread out and they go out, then it's like it's a whole, like everybody changes the world once they leave. So instead of that, we wanted to kind of like help to cultivate that before the world embraces everybody. Just like, let's put a spotlight on what we love.
And I think there was also like a conscious effort on our part as well, to really put on for the young people that we work with and to give those young people an opportunity. Like we didn't have that when we were coming up, like I remember Ad was somebody who really had to hustle super hard and hit the blogs and all that without management. And this is pre, 24/7 hip hop. This is pre, like we just didn't necessarily have that unless you were getting written up in the Tribune or the Sun Times or whatever. You didn't necessarily, even the Reader, you didn't necessarily have that opportunity. So this, for us, I think was a way to kind of, I think we've both been pretty fortunate in terms of the opportunities that we've been getting. And this is a way that we wanted to pay that forward to a lot of the young artists in the city who deserve that spotlight and that attention.
Absolutely. And last time, like I said, you were on last time, Defcee, we talked about the blog era a little bit. And it's kind of interesting you guys mentioned that with what you're doing with Rec Shop Live, as far as giving these new artists kind of a platform, giving them a different way to showcase their talents and what they have, their works. Do you think, like you guys said, that's missing kind of hip hop today? Do you see that anywhere else, like outside of Rec Shop? I don't really see that at all anymore, where there's like a place for the new artists we found organically.
Yeah, it's like I think because we're in that transitional space right now, right? Where technology is kind of caught up where before it used to be some form of gatekeepers in different avenues, right? It was like, okay, well, first it's the hip hop websites, or even before that is the venues, then it was the hip hop websites, then it was the blogs, and then you got the tastemakers. But now you can get your music out to the people with pretty much just like a push of a button. So, and you can get popular. You don't necessarily need nobody's cosign, but there still is a space where people need to be heard. They need to grow that base. They still need to have avenues to talk about what they're doing and not necessarily just like a one size fits all type of interview style. You know what I'm saying? Like how do we personalize the artists while they're promoting the music? You know what I'm saying? Outside of just social media. So I think that's where we are right now. It took a while because we were telling ourselves the same thing. We're like, man, where else do artists right now, if they were just starting up a career, if they just put out an EP or a mixtape or album, where did they go?
Yeah.
And we couldn't think of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm pretty sure there's spaces that grow it, like open mics that's around the city, but on the level of what we're talking about with TV and broadcast,
there's no way we found.
Those doors is kind of closed.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can really think of, if we want to talk about a specific medium, is podcasts. So people like yourself, people like, shout out the good people at Call Out Culture, Dad Bob Rap Pod, The Next Movement. There are a bunch of, I think that there are a bunch of podcasts out there that really want to Ergo with Damon Williams and Kiss. I think that those are platforms that really are trying to do the work of humanizing artists and being able to kind of help those artists share their story apart from just the music. And, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm kind of happy that that's happening, because I feel like that kind of exposure to artists is much more organic than, if a publicist is paying a blog, X amount of dollars to do a write-up, or, and Ad, I know you've seen this yourself, but there will be some blog posts where it's just like verbatim the copy that went out. So like the press release that went out for the project or for the song.
Good old Rap Radar. Good old Rap Radar.
You said it, not me.
I love LA Wilson. Yeah.
No, but, look, Juice, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So, I think that, I think our show, it's us trying to bring the visual aspect into it, as well as, and this is the joke that Ad cracks every episode of Rec Shop Live, but it's true. It's like, the live show atmosphere, the concert atmosphere, just the energy that we've been fortunate enough to witness as co-hosts of this show, who are able to provide that platform for people to be able to come through and rhyme and perform, and also for like, some of these younger artists to be able to perform for more established artists in the city. I think that that's something that's particularly unique about our platform, and something that's been really exciting as well, is just that live performance aspect.
Yeah, and what it also, to that point, like what it also does, it gives these young artists the ability to kind of hone those skills of performing, and that's something that is truly an underrated part of the entertainment business. I feel like when you're a rapper, like you think you go in the booth, you go rap these bars, cool. It's different when you're on the stage. I don't care if it's, I'm saying, 30 people or 1,000. I'm sure it's just a big different vibe as far as just hearing the sounds, knowing your words, all that. So that's definitely a great place for practice as well. Do you guys remember anything like that when you guys are coming up? Any platforms like that sparked want you guys to do this, or was just the absence of that kind of platform for you?
Like like the show.
Yeah, like Workshop. You remember anything like Workshop, or was Workshop pretty much
Well,
a part of the absence
well,
of no Workshop before?
well, honestly, even though I didn't get a chance to go to it, I always dreamed about it. But Rap City, the
Oh
basement.
man,
That
yeah,
that that was like, to me, I used to run home, what I'm
yeah,
saying,
man.
straight out of school. I run home because it'd be like, man, you never know who's gonna be the guest. And it always felt like it humanized the rappers. Like the first thing the rappers would do when they would walk in, they walk down the stairs and then
Yeah,
they'd be like, yo, I just got some cooking from Mama Tigger and stuff like that. They'd be like, man, is this like really a house? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
but it was dope just to see the artists get in there and talk. It just seemed like they kicking it. And then right after
Yeah,
that, it'd be like, oh, they in the booth. And the booth looked cold. It was like had the little black
cold.
light, saw the posters on the wall. And but shows like that
Mhm.
where you got a chance to know who the artists were, see them in a different light, but then also know that they was gonna come through to compete too. And
Yeah,
I think that's the energy that we want to bring to Rec Shop Live, where it's like not only can you meet the artists, you see the artists talk, so hear them be themselves, but then also see them perform. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we went through a whole year of not watching anybody perform, and now you kind of get them back on the stage and seeing what that's like.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, Rap City, the basement was pretty much the idea we presented to Vans. In
that's dope.
the
That's
first
dope.
place, it was basically like, we want it to be Rap City, the basement, but exclusively for Chicago artists. And I think eventually we're going to branch out and try to cover some independent artists from other areas of the country, and bring them into things. But for right now, I think especially being able to focus on Chicago artists specifically is something that we really wanted to do.
For
Um,
sure. And
so
and and how you guys going about like finding talent or getting talent to reach out to you guys as far as getting on the show? How do you guys go about that
I
process?
mean, it's pretty much just going through our phones, really. Like
Mm,
that's kind of been the coolest part about it is,
yeah,
like, and being able to see, if we just had Ibrahim on the show, 16 Raheem, and that invitation came from seeing how hard he's been working, since he graduated from high school, and since the pandemic, he's pretty much been recording and releasing music. Um, I think the same thing with Samira Truth when we had
Yep.
her on the show as
dope,
well.
super dope.
So yeah, crazy. And also doing some pretty amazing things in the underground scene right now and linking with people like Mike in New York and Mims. So yeah, she's doing some pretty fantastic stuff. But yeah, I think it's also just an opportunity to be like, look, here's your reward. Um, so that's been dope. And I've had a couple of people reach out to me to ask how to get on the show, which lets me know that we're making an impact somewhere.
Absolutely. I mean, you guys have had some pretty great names and some pretty great showcases so far. So I'm sure that the phone's gonna keep ringing. Um, when you guys look at yourselves as artists, and you guys look at yourselves, you guys continue to grow as artists because I'm saying your careers are far from over here. Do you think how is it balancing being the host of this show and looking for talent and building these connections with these people, and also as an artist, like, hey, I'm trying to continue to grow myself as well. So, how does that go?
I think like I'm in this space of my career where I don't really, I know I'm an artist, but I don't really.
Mm,
I've been like moving in different spaces. You know what I'm saying? So like I get more of a kick from putting on other people. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like I love mentoring, I love passing the baton back to other people. So it's like, especially for a lot of the Chicago artists who I've known or who might have been on the come up, like I never charge them for features. I'm like, yo, whatever y'all want me to do, I got you. Like you say the word and it's done type of thing.
That's
Cause like I
strong.
want to see other people. I almost like, to be honest with you, man, I want to be what I wanted to see out of my heroes.
Hmm.
Like there was generations before me who I used to be like, man, I wish they would do a little bit more to help other artists out. I wish they could just say this and change somebody's life today. And I wanted to do that. So like I'm not really pressed as like an artist. I'm also like, hey, what can we do to make sure that this scene is much better than what we found it? So that they can have careers where they don't feel as much pressure to be like, man, I gotta, in order to provide for my family with my art, I gotta leave. Like I want them to still feel like, yo, I could develop my career here, and you know what I'm saying, and that the scene is good, it's healthy, it's enough money to go around, it's enough opportunity to go around. So, there ain't no real pressure on my end. I'm like, I'm good. I don't even feel no, I don't even want to rap when I'm there. I don't want to write when I leave, but I don't want to rap when I'm
Yeah.
And real quick, add to like, when do you think you got that ideology? I guess when did you think you grown to understand that, you know what, as an artist, I'm cool. I want to build others. So when did you find yourself in that position?
there. I think the most when it hit was when I started this my mentoring program, but it was right after I left the independent label that I was with. Like after I seen the industry like this close up, and I was like, y'all keep this. It's like whatever this is, if this is what y'all want to do, y'all keep all of that.
You
I'm
saw
good.
behind the curtain. You saw behind the curtain. And it was like,
Oh man, when you go to the Wizard of Oz and you find out the Oz ain't real, you be like, man, like I'm good. So, but you gotta always above anything else, man. Um, you want to be happy, and there's so much more fulfillment. Like I honestly feel like this is what I was supposed to do. Like I learned
yeah,
music, and that's cool, but this is the vocation. This is what I get far more fulfillment out of this than any music that I've ever made.
that's strong. About you, Defcee, as far as your input as far as weighing the being an artist and being the host of that kind of show.
I mean, I think to whom much is given, much is expected. And I think that Ad and I have been in this position of being the big homies since our late teens, early 20s. So, it's an important responsibility that we have to the younger artists in the city. And also, it's cliche, but those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And unfortunately, with the exception of some individual kind of mentorships, and big homies of our own, that wasn't really happening on a grand scale. Like we might have been the chosen ones as far as our respective communities and all that, but at this point, in the history of hip hop, this idea that there's only a limited amount of spots for Chicago rappers is totally false. And regionalism is pretty much done with thanks to the internet. So you really have an infinite capacity to thrive in the marketplace. It's competitive to an extent, I think, when you're talking about major label stuff, or you're talking about, Bandcamp Day, people have to decide whether they're going to spend $10 on your album versus somebody else's. But it's not, I think we also are in a position where it's like, look, if X person wins, I win as well, because the whole community wins. And excuse me, I think for me, that's one of the most important aspects of what it is I do as an MC. And especially as a white rapper, we have, as white rappers, an additional responsibility to put on for people who, are more like, who may not necessarily get that same platform or get that same shine because they don't benefit from the white privilege that we as white rappers have. Because when you consider the buying audience of hip hop, it's mostly white people. And a lot of them, especially in the underground, are looking to people who look like them for their music. So then we need to be able to subvert that platform to help somebody else who doesn't necessarily have that privilege, right? And I think that that's something that's incredibly important to me, especially when you consider the amount of Black and brown women in underground hip hop who are incredibly underrepresented and not put on for, and frankly, who always kind of hit their head against the glass ceiling that's imposed upon them by white men in hip hop, where, you know, that it's presented as if, you know, there really is only a limited amount of spots for women. And that's deeper than just, you know, the Chicago thing, because you're thinking about an entire globe full of women who rhyme, who are incredibly talented, who are not given those same opportunities that men are, especially white men. So I think that that's kind of the additional responsibility I try to bear and I try to keep in mind when I think about who I want to be on the show. And, you know, if as an artist, people tune into my music, I appreciate it, but I'm on the same wavelength as Ad. I think it's much more rewarding to know that I've been able to use my position for good, and I've been able to, again, kind of pay forward whatever blessings I've received in my time in hip hop.
So, man, this is a great conversation we're embarking on here. So I want to definitely get into the maturation of hip hop since we're here. We're in the climate now. I feel like where it's like back when we were kids, everyone said hip hop is going to age soon. Hip hop is going to die. You can't stay young forever. And we're seeing artists mature. You got yourselves. You say you guys are talking about your maturation entirely right now. And of course, since I've been in my 20s now, I've heard many rappers retire, unretire, all that kind of stuff. Do you guys see yourselves like hanging it up? Is that like a thing, or is you just like, this is no longer my career focus? It's not making music isn't the main focus anymore, or are you guys saying you guys will see yourselves hanging it up forever one day?
This is an interesting one.
Oh man, add to the smile like he did. They'll consider it quitting already, man. What you doing?
Man,
relax. Man.
I'm trying to say, it's well, I'll always rap. I think I'm always gonna create music. It's just like, do I want to actively pursue it? You know what I'm saying? Like the way people traditionally do. Like I don't get a kick from that part no more. Like I don't like the promo runs. I don't even like touring. Like I had to be honest with myself. I was like, yo, I hate being in airports. I hate sleeping in hotels.
Now, are you saying this because of the year of COVID and you've been away from it for a while, or do you really?
Nah, I was doing this for years.
Oh, man. I had to check.
I ain't new to this. I'm true to this, man. I was like, they had to push me out to finish out that last album. It was like pressuring me, like, damn, rap. And I was like, nah, I'm good. But it's just like, I think, you know, you do start to mature. You know what I'm saying? You start to mature in different ways. And it doesn't mean that you ever stop that. Like I haven't played formal basketball in years, but I will still walk around the house and I'd be air dribbling and crossing. I ain't playing against nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm still like tending to shoot the ball, but it's in me. And so it's like if I'm driving around, I'm listening to instrumentals, I'm still gonna be freestyling. I'm still gonna be, you know what I'm saying? If somebody asks me like, hey fam, you know what I'm saying, can you get on this, I'm definitely still gonna do it. But it's just I don't know if I want to pursue it forever. You know what I'm saying? Like I think I'm okay with it, with me not doing it. That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
What did you say?
And I think I've been thinking a lot about just kind of with recent events in my personal life, thinking about major transitions. And I think, you know, there might come a day where I'm never going to stop being creative. I think I'm creative because that's how I stay sane. You know, but you know, it might be something else. It might be, you know, I pursue music production, or, you know, I pursue writing poetry, or, you know, I get that Big Daddy Kane or that Slick Rick guest verse call, you know, I'm in that position. I think that I don't see myself making albums forever. I don't think I see myself making full-length projects forever. I think at a certain point, I am going to get sick of hearing my own voice and maybe hearing myself approach the same topics over and over again. But I think that at the same time, I'm not going to quit until I fall out of love with this. And the minute that I fall out of love with putting words together and trying to come up with different ways to approach concepts or different ways to communicate things that are happening in my brain, I think at that point I'll hang it up, but I don't really see that happening. And then, you know, so many of my heroes rapped well into their 40s and 50s. You know, Slick Rick was just on 2 songs on West Side Gun's album last year. You know what I mean? Arm and Hammer are just starting to pop off now, and they're both in their 40s. Ka is, I believe, almost 50 years old and is one of the nicest rappers out. So I think that there's definitely precedent in hip hop for people who continue to rhyme well in the middle age. And I think we're also seeing for the first time, you know, some of the greatest jazz musicians of all time are in their 70s and 80s.
Yeah,
you know, there's a recent, oh man, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. I got to Google it, but you know, there's a recent jazz great who put something out in his 80s. So, and it's being considered one of the albums of the year. So I think that that's something I think about a lot as well. And it's also a parallel that's been made between hip hop and jazz music, where at a certain point, the feeling is that you can't really retire if it's in you, you know?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I look at hip hop retirement. When people announce their retirement of hip hop, I always kind of chuckle. Like, I don't feel like hip hop you necessarily retire from. I feel like whenever you get that spark, when you get that desire to want to put pen to paper, that the desire to want to rap on the mic, you're gonna do it. You know, it's in you. I feel like, you know, and I'm not someone who had any success at rapping, but you two, when I hear you guys rap, and when you guys typically, I'm saying, approach music, it seems that you guys approach it with meaning and with purpose. And I think when you approach anything to that effect, it's always gonna be kind of in you. So I mean, I would hate to see you guys, I'm saying, just hang it up. So I'm just hoping that we can get an album every 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Let's do that. You know what I'm saying? But just looking at hip hop mature, as I was saying earlier, one of my favorite albums this year is from like Jim Jones, who's 45. You know, and seeing these rappers get older. We see Griselda, like to Defcee's point, we have Kyle, who's older, Griselda. So many artists who are older now and shining and thriving. And we're also seeing hip hop mature in a different way. We're seeing legends start passing away, and it's definitely. It's odd, you know. Realizing, damn, I'm 30 years old. This is what happens, you know. My pops and them had to see Teddy Pendergrass and Marvin Gaye go, you know. So like, this is where I am now, I guess. So I kind of want to get you guys this take. We're all, I'm saying, late 80s, early 90s. I'm sure when you heard the news of DMX passing, how did it hit you? And how are you dealing with it now?
Yeah, man. That one hit me tough, man, because that was the first CD that I bought was and then it was X. I had to go to like Sam Goody or whatever it was in Ford City and had to hustle the dude down, just be like, yo man, come on man, just sell me this album, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? That was the first official CD that I got. So I was always a huge X fan. I used to run home, like I said, stop being greedy. I'd be rapping both sides, like switching my tone up and stuff, you know. And X was always one of those rappers who was just open. You know what I'm saying? It's like you could
100%.
tell he was dealing with something different, but it was like you didn't see that level of honesty within a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The vulnerability within a lot of people. And but to see him pass and the way that it happened, it was definitely tough, man, because you know, rappers are often like our superheroes, man. You know what I mean? Like you want them to live forever, like is you know what I'm saying? But you start to realize, man, it's like they're human too. So like this is hitting me in the same way, like when I in the level of shock that I had when Prince died, when
Man.
Michael Jackson died, and I'm just looking like, dang, DMX was on this pillar of hip hop legends, and so it's like it kind of reminds me, unfortunately, that there's a lot of goodbyes that I got to start preparing myself mentally for. So it's like,
100%, man.
yeah,
100%. I literally remember, like, when, I don't know if you guys remember when Drake first popped. And I remember the first Drake line that really gave me like chills. It always sticks with me, right? Always, I think it comes up on internet all the time as well. When he said, "I never cried when Pac died. I probably will when Hope does."
Yeah.
Like, Like when that line hit, like, yo, what? I made trying to think like that. Drake, what you talking about? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But like here I am now, 30 years old, and losing DMX, losing Shock G, like 2 weeks later, Black Rob in between there. Defcee, I'd love to hear your take on this as well, bro. Like, how have you dealing with it? How have you dealt with it? How are you dealing with it?
I mean, the last hip hop death that like, or the first one, I guess, recently that really impacted me was Sean Price 6 years ago.
My
Sean Price is
God.
my favorite rapper of all time, and that was rough for like a few days, and my wife didn't really understand. But I think that, you know, because
peace, P.
Yeah, rest in peace to P. Because I think his music, you know, you really only got glimpses into his personal life, and so I think it's difficult for people to fully understand the impact. But you know, for somebody to be able to have made music that you've been listening to for more than half your life, music that's kind of soundtracked your adolescence and your growth, and then like Ad was saying, music that's made by people who you really see as superheroes. And it's very difficult to see those people fall. And unlike superheroes in the comics, they're not coming back. And so that's something that really hits hard. And I think where DMX and Black Rob are concerned, and Shock G too, actually, I think DMX, you know, and we talked about this a little bit on Rec Shop Live. You know, people forget that DMX saved Def Jam. People forget that DMX really brought hip hop out of mourning, Pac and Big. People forget that DMX had more impact in a year than most MCs have over the course of their entire career in '98 with It's Dark as Hell Is Hot and Flesh
in
My
a
Flesh,
year,
Blood of
man.
My Blood. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Excuse me. So
crazy.
I think that stuff hits particularly hard. And then when you're watching somebody, again, not to be redundant, but like Ad was saying, really trying to figure their life out, unfortunately, in a very public way. But, you know, I think the one difference with DMX versus the deaths of the other two MCs who we're talking about is that I think what we saw was somebody publicly trying to find peace in a life that was very turbulent, and in a life that did not have a very good start. And, you know, to hear what he said on Drink Champs about, you know, if I died tomorrow, I would think to myself, I had a good life. That's something that, you know, that's something that's really important to consider. 100%. And it certainly doesn't lessen the impact of his passing for his family and friends, but it is something that we as fans can at least, you know, find some consolation in. And then with
he was getting to the good of it. And like as Defcee's connection just gets back, like
I'm good. I'm back. I'm back.
You good? You good? All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So I think that the thing about Black Rob and Shock G is that people weren't really as aware of their impact and their influence. But if you think about it, without Shock G, there's no Tupac. Without Humpty Hump, there's no Doom. There's no, you know what I mean? Like all of these rappers who are able to kind of take that idea of another persona and run with it. And then
rest in peace, Doom.
You think about his impact on, rest in peace to Doom. And then when you think about Shock G's impact on hip hop production, you know, he was really influential in terms of what he did. And then Black Rob, who I just went back and listened to that Life Story album, which is way better than people give it credit for. That's a really, really good album.
Yeah. His first two albums are pretty good,
Yeah. And then also, like, the first time I ever performed a rap live, I bit the first 4 bars of Black Rob's verse from Let's Get It. And I performed those as if they were mine, you know, when I was 10 years old and I didn't know any better, and neither did anybody who was watching me perform. And then the first rap I wrote was on the way back from a White Sox game, and I pulled a notepad out of pocket in my mom's minivan and started writing because I heard Bad Boy for Life on the radio, right? So like,
it's a hard beat. It's a hard beat.
I know, but it had a lot to do with Black Rob's presence on the song. So I think I think it's very important that I think we get so caught times in like, is this person worth celebrating? Is this person not worth celebrating? Like, it might be somebody on Twitter who talks about love Nelly, and then there's somebody waiting to come right behind them to talk, man, I don't know what you talk about, you trash, you whack, this, that, and the third. But I think we just need to be more comfortable celebrating the artists who we love while they're still here. Losing them way too soon. And then I think the other thing that it's making me think about is my own kind of personal health and trying to figure out ways to get right and to make sure that I'm going to be here for as long as I can possibly be here too.
Absolutely. And as you guys see about mature, we talked about like the kind of the more negative sides of it as far as retirement, and not retirement, not necessarily negative, but we talk about retirement and death. There's also, of course, a lot of great things happen as far as hip hop maturing, and like we see like a person like Nas, who's now has his Grammy, and I'm kind of curious with you guys when it comes to hip hop, what is that? What are the accolades? What are the goals of hip hop acts long term? And you guys is understanding, like when you guys look at your hip hop career, when you guys first started, and the goals you guys had in mind to where you guys are now. Add-2 kind of alluded to it with the whole industry behind the curtain. Like, I'm kind of curious, what do you guys think about now, as you guys have now spent about 10 years in the game now or more, as far as the goals go, like setting goals in hip hop?
Yeah, like the goals change, of course. I've been fortunate to kind of achieve everything that I wanted to do, like literally everything that I wrote down on the list, I've done. The only one that's like kind of elusive is I at least want to get nom. Now I ain't gonna say I want to get nominated. I want to win it. I want that music educator Grammy. I want that. Everything
Okay.
else I'm cool on, but you know what I'm saying? Like that thing, I want that for real. And so, but the goals do change, you know, where before I remember I wanted originally I was like, man, if I could get this person on my album, I always wanted a song with Common. Uh I I wanted to who else? And Black Thought. Those are like the only two
Man,
I think I really, really wanted to do
those
songs with.
some heavy hitters, dog. Some heavy
Yeah.
hitters, man. Like,
Yeah, I
man,
wanted to, cause like I think everything else I've done.
yeah.
I've been on the song with Kendrick before. That was cool.
Slight
Done.
brag.
So casual. You know, I've been on a
It
song with
was it
Kendrick.
was
Oh,
That was cool.
it was at the time when it was like, okay, we could still be considered peers, I
Mhm.
guess. It was before the stratosphere jump. So, but I've done pretty much everything else. I'm cool with all the people who I want to be cool with. So um I guess now the goal, if I had one, man, I don't even know if I have. Def, you may have to talk about your goals, man. Like I don't know if mine is really up there anymore. I don't know what I got.
I mean, my goal is pretty simple, apart from kind of the goals that we were mentioning before, as far as mentorship is concerned and like being a big homies in Chicago. I just want the respect as a rapper. Like, I just want people to acknowledge that, and you guys can blame me or can blame Add-2 for how much stuff I've been talking about, how good of a rapper I am, because this man's been gassing me up for a year now, trying to get me to
Talk that
see
talk.
what he sees. But yeah, no, I'm really just here to let people know that in addition to being one of the best rappers out here, I can also make some of the best music. And that's my only goal. Like, I don't really have any metrics or numbers attached to it. I think I'm pretty comfortable in knowing that I'm always going to need a day job in order to support myself and my family. And there's no shame in that. I think that as far as some of the artists who I've wanted to work with, like, I've gotten a chance to work with some of my top 5 rappers and rappers who I've always looked up to. And, that's something that I think, apart from that, maybe the only major goal I have to work with Alchemist. That's
Mm.
it.
man.
Like, that's the only pie in the sky goal. Is, I think it used to be, that name used to be Premier, but at this point I'm kind of confident that that's not going to happen unless somebody is very generous and donates $50,000 to my music. But I think Alchemist is definitely, I think that that's realistic. So I think that's the last goal left as far as bucket list stuff.
Man, that's fire. I kind of brought that question up because like I looked at Nas' career, like man, and seeing Nas receive a Grammy was cool. My dinner did not want Nas to win it just because I wanted Nas to just go out and say, you know what, I don't need your Grammy. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you waiting until I'm 40 plus to give me a Grammy? I gave you it. It was written in Illmatic. I should have been had one of these. So yeah, I just look at hip hop, and hip hop has been so underappreciated, undervalued for years, and now to see hip hop become pop, it's weird for me as a fan. I'm definitely curious to see how it is for you guys to see it, because when I sit down and think about hip hop, I'm like, man, I don't care about new artists. It's not that I don't care about like listening to new artists for real. I don't care about listening to the new pop acts, and it's hard now to deviate or differentiate between what's the pop hip hop and what's the real hip hop now. And I'm kind of curious for you guys who are building platforms. I guess I am too, in a sense, for new artists to voices to be heard in their art to be seen. How do you guys deviate as listeners between the pop hip hop and hip hop?
I guess for me, man, I know everything has its place, right? Like I kind of
absolutely 100%.
I didn't necessarily grow up as an underground hip hop fan when I was younger. Like I listened to the radio all day, and you know what I'm saying. So that's what kind of guided. Yeah, that's what guided my whole. And I got into underground hip hop once I was in like high school or a little, you know what I'm saying. And then I was able to kind of start digging for music on my own. So I understand the place for different things. Where it's like, all right, if this is, you know, if it's the baby and he's getting played all day, every day. And I'm like, yo, I don't know what type of song this is. This look like they doing some little wild stuff. It's a little too much for me.
Yeah,
I know this is where I just, you know, it's like when you're on the bus, you know, you just put a string down. This is where I get off. You know what I'm saying? So, and I just certain things is just not for me. Now it might be for me if I'm in a public setting, if I'm
100%.
out with the homies or something like that. But I know I can't listen to a lot of this stuff on a day-to-day basis. I can't.
I be wondering how does anybody listen to this on a regular? How do you sit in the crib and just play like club music? I always wondered that in my mind. How do you just casually sit to listen to that?
So the thing that I realized was because I always, whenever I talk to my mentees, I always tell them nothing's new under the sun. I was like, everything they did is the same thing we did. So like, what was the equivalent to what they doing now, listening to club music all day, is no different than when I was listening to 3 6 Mafia all day. And I was in the crib kicking it like I was about to go ride out on somebody.
That's true.
You know
That's
what I'm
true.
saying? And so, but that was the same thing. Like I'm listening in the crib was listening to, like, for lack of better words, it's like strip club music or something like that. Wasn't no girls in my house.
Sipping on a scissor.
Like, gee, what was I was, you know what I'm saying? I was just vibing out to that stuff.
Yeah, man.
But that's because I guess you was just in a different space in life. And sometimes
100%.
when you knew the music, when you in your teens, when you know what I'm saying, coming up, that's the music that speaks to you. So
absolutely.
You know, that's why I think it's probably like supporting it more so than anything, because it's social. It's like, yo, not only do I listen to this music on my own time, but me and my friends connect to it. We making dances to it. We, you know, whenever we riding out, when we first get in our cars, we gonna play that. Like, this is their social music.
How about you, Duh?
I think when it comes to pop rap, right, or rapping, I think a lot of times the thing that we forget is rapping is a medium of communication and artistry the same way that singing is, right? The only difference is there's no like singing genre. We've divided singing into all of these different genres so that we're able to kind of compare it. And I think for me, I always come back to that John Coltrane quote where he said, you can play a shoestring if you're sincere. And I think for me, it's that, like, I need to know that the music you're making is sincere and it comes from a place of like, this is your form of self-expression. And also, like, if there's an element of good rapping to it, I'm gonna acknowledge it. So I told Ad when we were on set at Rec Shop Live that like Lil Baby is one of my 5 rappers, because I listened
That
to that
boy
My
can
Turn.
rap.
Yep. I listened to the My Turn Deluxe. And even if I don't necessarily it as like a full project, what I can appreciate is that the rapping he's doing across the whole project is incredible. And so that kind of, I think that that's important as well when I'm thinking about things that get played on the radio. And also the music that has the longest lasting impact is music that has some sort of content that really hits people in the heart, that's also well crafted. So if you look at, you know, some of the best selling rappers, you're looking at people like Eminem, DMX, Jay-Z, you're looking at Drake, like people who value the craft.
Outkast. Yeah.
Outkast, right.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
And you're looking at you know, you're looking at those people who really are able to create great music and also who are able to rap really well. That's who sticks around the most. So
yeah, and when I look at like as once again as a fan, of course, as a fan for me, it's music is 100% subjective. It's 100%. I don't think there's a way to really be objective with music. I think if you unless you're like as a teacher, if you're teaching music, yes, but I guess like as a listener, I don't think there's any way because you're gonna like what you like. I think it's just plain and simple. And like for me, I was always like in high school, like what Al was saying, I was Mr. Real Hip Hop. I was Mr. Talib, Lil Brother, Mad Villain. Let's go. That's me, you know. But as I've grown and matured, like I can acknowledge, like you said, Lil Baby, even like Young Thug, like a lot of these cats who were deemed mumble rapper in 2015 are lyrical now. This music is substantive now in many ways and facets. It's dope to see that growth for sure. But I think the perfect name to Add-2 name was DaBaby. That's kind of what I was alluding to. That is, I just cannot be in the crib blasting DaBaby. It'd be a hard look. But I was in the crib as a shorty blasting Country Grammar. So I guess I'm saying there is that, man. And when you guys look at wrap up here shortly for you guys, I'm kind of curious with Rec Shop Live, like as far as you guys seeing it grow and you guys seeing what's next as far as Vans goes. COVID's almost over, but the world's almost back open. Put it that way. Fingers crossed. I'm saying fingers crossed. Knock on wood. Do you guys see yourselves opening up for audience?
Yeah, like I would love to see what Rec Shop Live would look like when it be like, all right, you know, we just had the interview and then now they're on the other stage and there's a crowd full of people just waiting to see them perform.
Oh, y'all
Like,
trying to get y'all with us as a part. I feel the vibes. I feel the
yo,
vibes.
I want to see it. Like, I want to see, like, you know, if we turn it into like unplugged type of shows, where
Yeah.
people could be like premiering they albums when they're like, man, you know, the album just dropped, so we're gonna have a special interview with them. We're gonna have to sit down where we talk to them for, you know what I'm saying, maybe the first hour of the joint, just have an in-depth conversation, and then the last hour is them just performing with the band, like just
Oh, that's
full
raw.
set, just everything. Like, I would love to see what it looks like. Like, I love this format because we're able to kind of do a lot, but it would be even crazier if we're able to bring people in there. There's people skating in there. There's like, you know what I'm saying, just an energy. So, um, but yeah, hopefully, if all goes well, which I'm going to do my damnedest to make sure, and I know Def going to do his damnedest to make sure that this show becomes a staple in the Chicago music scene. That this is like, yo, if you have something that you're trying to talk about, if you know you just want to be amongst that class, like I want to be able to say that that so many people have touched that stage and helped to build that show the way it is.
And you know, to piggyback off of that, I think Rec Shop in general, as we did it initially, so that young people in the city could have somewhere where they were able to sharpen their craft and share it with each other, and that they were able to communicate kind of across, you know, regardless of the kind of music you make, we're going to be here because we love making music and we love hip hop. And so I think when I think about Rec Shop in general, Rec Shop Live is an extension of that love. And I also think that there are opportunities for us to do under the Rec Shop name more behind stuff as well to kind of help establish something in the city that's going to make it, like Ad was saying, more sustainable in order to stay at home, like so that people don't have to go elsewhere get some of the things that they would need as an artist, so that we don't have, this brain drain that has been happening in Chicago for a long time, where some of our best and brightest can't stay home and cultivate things because it's not realistic for them. And I think at a certain point, it's on us as artists to stay home and plant those seeds and grow something. So I think that that's what I'm looking forward to as far as Rec Shop is concerned. And I would love for us to have a live audience with like me and Ad with mics like Oprah, like just going around asking people questions.
Yeah, Carson Daly on. I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel it.
Giving people the opportunity to have that, genuine interaction and engagement with some of their fans. I think that's something else that I really love too. And, having those younger artists share space with some of the more established artists on Rec Shop Live has been really cool, because, I think having the opportunity to connect with somebody you admire and be able to exchange art is something that's really powerful. So yeah.
And I mentioned you guys have had some dope artists as far as Freddie Oso, Melo, Mother Nature on there already. I mean, of course, as a Chicago guy, hip hop fan, I gotta ask this question. Like, we gotta get it like a Rec Shop like album, right, or something in the future, right? It has to happen. You guys gotta do this, right? Like, I guess something of the sort.
So there's a Rec Shop mixtape at Haven that we need to, but it's recorded. There's a bunch of our students on it. Now, if you're talking about Ad and I doing a project together, I think that that's something that.
That's my next question.
That was your next question.
That was a setup. Because
okay. All right.
One song which all exists apparently. Ad. Apparently only one song. This was y'all, man. I mean, what's going on?
Yeah.
Defcee been asking for that verse for a while, man. Just getting it, man. What's going on, man?
This is the first time, but I always tell everybody, I was like, hey, y'all got the green light with me. Just whichever one y'all want to shoot the shot for, just tell me this is the one. You know what I'm saying? And he told me, he's like, hey, yo, I think I got it. You know what I'm saying? So, and yeah, man, I'm elusive, man. You know what I'm saying?
I'm elusive.
I'm elusive. It be like, people be like, damn, one of my homies, he been trying to get me to do a verse for like a year. And he be sending songs. And I'm like, no, that one ain't it. That one ain't it. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, Def works much more efficiently than I do.
After hearing the bonus 5 joints for Scenic and copping that, had to cop that Scenic Deluxe is amazing once again. I literally was talking to the homie MF Mello. I was like, yo, how was that not a Defcee MF Mello joint? Yeah, how is that not an Add-2? Like, how would do not Chicago for it to be like, everyone in Chicago seems to be cool, all the lyricists, but like, it's not enough. I'm saying, not enough inner workings with y'all, man. I know Chicago lyricists ain't collaborate yet, man. I'm not liking that.
All right, look, so
y'all talking about retire for this shit, man.
so on this album I'm working on with Sev Severe, there is going to be a joint with MF and Mello, and hopefully Slime on the same joint.
Okay. Shout out to Slime.
And as far as working with Ad in the future, I think if we were to do like a project, whether it's an EP or a mixtape or an album, I think it would have to make sense. Like there would have to be kind of like a variety of things that came together in terms of scheduling, in terms of production, in terms of like us being able to kind of capitalize on, I essentially would not want Ad to have to do the legwork of, carrying my name on the back of his. So, we would need to work that out, into the fact that like neither one of us has a lot of time to be able to get together and sit down and think about like, look, man, I don't want to just be like, okay, cool, I got 2 hours open on a Wednesday, let me try to out rap Add-2. You know what I mean? Like,
it takes 1 to 2 years.
I want to take months to consider, and then make music that makes sense. So I'll put it like this: say never, but I will say, if it happens, it'll be in the interest of people, something that will exceed.
If it happens to be done right, that's the most important part.
Absolutely, man. And I know because like we both like really like very intentional about the way we create. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain people you see when they just sit down, you be like, oh, they literally just sat in the room and did whatever. Like we think about a lot of stuff. So I think we're just whenever it come through, just know. And so I was gonna say, technically, now I think about it, we do have 2 joints. So yeah,
One is unreleased. One is unreleased, and I
yeah.
got smoked on it, so I got to go back and re-record that.
So it's like, but that was my lane. When you start faster rapping, that's like always like
No excuses.
Absolutely.
No excuses. No days off, man. If you can't drive the lane, then your 3-pointer better be nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's real.
Yeah.
Don't be Giselle Valentine. Love to the Bulls. Love to the Bulls. But before I get you guys out of here, last question. What can they expect from you guys musically? Where can they find MC Rec Shop live, and where can they follow you guys?
Let's see. Right now, man, I'm honestly just working on making sure that my mentees at Haven Studios are doing well and putting out their
Add-2 is retired, guys. Add-2 has
Yeah, don't
retired.
worry. There's some songs in the tuck. If they come out, they come out. If they don't, they don't. But you know what I'm saying.
Respect, bro.
But
Respect.
we'll see what happens. Who knows? I've been getting the itch, so I might have a couple things. But yeah, and then MC Rec Shop. You know what I'm saying. Of course, we building the community. Young MCs around there, around Chicago, man. Please tap in with us. And also for Rec Shop Live, the show with Vans. We're still doing it monthly. We just got word that we picked up for 8 more episodes. So
8 more months. That's love.
Oh man, so we gonna close out the year, I believe. You know what I'm saying? Pretty good. So if we just keep on doing that, then we good. And just hit us up at you know what I'm saying, Rec Shop Live. Just whatever you need to do at Rec Shop Live. Just there.
Yep. Rec Shop spelled WRSHOP LIVE on Twitter and Instagram. Rec Shop Live at Gmail. As far as music, I have an EP with August Fanon coming June 4th. I have an album with music coming out on Backwoods Studios August 6th. We just locked in the date, Ashley Woods, for looking out.
Oh, say that again. You broke up there for a second. Let's see. Say that last part again, bro. That sounds important.
August 6th, Backwoods Studios, my album with music. Shout out Bill Woods. Shout out the good people at Backwoods Studios. It's going to be crazy. Def Prez album with Crash Prez knows the time is coming this year. You guys might even get an album from me, 5 and Slime. Who knows? Still a lot of time left in the year.
So Defcee is not retired.
No. If I gotta end up, I gotta be on these year-end lists. I gotta be in these top 5 lists. Like I said, I'm out for respect, and I'm not quitting until I get it.
That's love. That's strong. That's strong like that, man. That's strong like that. Definitely 2 of my favorite lyricists from Chicago. 2 of my lyricists in general, man. I appreciate you guys coming on. More than a pleasure having you on. Please follow these guys at Add-2 the MC at Defcee, man. Like I said it again, if you guys have not, go to Bandcamp, go cop the Defcee's Scenic Deluxe, man, with Nick Arcade. There's a dope outro on there with this guy named Add-2 who used to rap, man.
And go get that Jim Crow the musical.
Messing with you, bro. Love, man. Say it again.
Go get Crow the musical too. That album is incredible.
Yeah.
All-timer. That's an all-timer.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. I'll add to a rematch in space. That's why I'm on his ass like this. He killed me in space. So that's why I'm on him like that.
Let me tell you this. You don't want to come back to the table. If you're able to get another partner, I walked in there blind. Me and my partner didn't even know each other, but this is what we do. So, any picnic table y'all got, see me.
Damn, they gave me a yard, man. I was like, oh, man. I had to fight for 3 books. But I appreciate you, Add-2, man. Appreciate you, Defcee. Please follow the podcast at Good in the Hood Pod on Instagram, at Good in All Hoods on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at JuiceJVP, at Juice in the Hood on Instagram. And please shop the merch. Shop the merch to stay up to date on all the episodes. GoodinAllHoods.com, man. These are two Chicago legends in my book, man. I appreciate y'all. And everyone out there, please stay good in the hood.